Here are 5 lessons that I've learned when it comes to your CPA from mistakes and failures that I have done in the past. And I'm going to fly through them because this doesn't need to be a super long video. Just listen to me and learn from my mistakes. I've got my notepad here to make sure I don't miss anything or skip a beat. So number 1 was money in, money out, right? And it sounds simple, right? How much money am I putting into this offer? How much money am I putting into ad spend? And how much money am I getting out, like revenue-wise, or for this particular offer? It sounds simple, and this is always the way for 2 years, for 2.5 years. I was like, yeah, money in, money out. We'll keep it lean. This is how we'll look at things. We won't play with those fancy metrics. We'll just look at money in, money out. But I didn't actually know what that meant. There's so many things when it comes to money in here, money in particular versus money out, right? Money in, it's not just your ad spend. It's not just the software costs or anything like that. It's ad spend, processing fees, market or software cost, anything, COGS, obviously. All those little things that go into making that thing possible. Then it's money out. What's the revenue that comes out of it? Take into account also taxes and things of that nature if you want to get super lean. But understanding what your true money in, money out is ultimately the lesson that I learned, because for 2.5 years, we were wondering, why the heck can't we scale? Why don't the business metrics make sense to the advertising or marketing metrics? Well, it's because we weren't actually looking at money in, money out. So that's number 1. Figure out what that is for your business. And every business is different depending on if you're Wesley Snipesing it and not collecting taxes or not, or whatever. All right, number 2 is relying on platform. I'm going to shorthand this. Rely on platform. We'll do plat and third-party data. PTY data. There we go. Keep it shorthand. The reason why we couldn't scale is what I just alluded to, is like we didn't actually know the numbers, and we relied on Facebook or Meta now, and we relied on Google and relied on TikTok, and we even did Pinterest for a little bit and Snapchat. We relied on those platforms telling us what our actual return on our ad spend was, or how many sales we actually got. And then we started to dig into it a little bit more, and we realized, whoa, Facebook is like over-reporting on how many sales we got. It was pretty obvious for us, especially when you're small. It's pretty obvious for us in the beginning because we could just see the amount of sales that we're getting in Shopify. And so we went a little bit further, and so we got a software called Hyros. And Hyros did wonders for us. Like, they connected directly to Shopify, which connected directly to Meta, and so we saw true sales coming through. But then we saw, wait, Hyros isn't looking at like the business metrics. Hyros is looking at how can they attribute the revenue and the sales and everything to the right ad. Like, this is important, but there's also like business on the back end, right? And so we relied too much on these platforms and these third-party softwares to tell us what to do when it comes to the business, when we should have been looking at, all right, how much money are we actually spending here, and how much money is coming out of this thing? It goes back to money in and money out. Don't rely on the platform. Don't rely on the third-party data software or whatever. They're great. They're amazing tools, except for the platform. Let's just go ahead and cancel that one out. Get a third-party software to optimize your ad spend and everything like that, and your marketing metrics. But then go a level deeper and figure out, how much is everything going into this and how much is everything going out of this? There's a software called Glue that can help with this. You could also just go straight spreadsheets to look at this, and because there's not a lot of tools out there that are going to pull all those like deeper level metrics of like, how much am I spending on the software, and what's my processing fee and all of that. So depending on what platforms you're on, but really go deep into like what that is before making decisions based on the third-party data platform. Number 3 is spending too much time on copy and creative. Ad copy and creative. Too much time, ad copy and creative. Look, there's a time and a place for this. and split testing and everything from your copy to your creative, getting a bunch of creatives out there, getting a bunch of copy out there to figure out what works. There's a time and a place for it. If you're looking for those big needle moving things, your expectations should not be, oh, eventually one of these creatives are going to hit and then I'm going to be able to scale, or eventually one of this paragraph of copy is going to hit and I'm going to be able to scale. Spending too much time there isn't the thing that's going to help you scale your business. It's figuring out what happens after the ad. Everything that happens after the ad is what's going to really allow you to scale. Now, that's not to say that the stuff isn't truly important, because it is. At a certain level, this is extremely important. There's going to be an area within your business where you can't make those big needle moving things anymore, and you have to go back and clean things up and dial things into the last 0.00% in order for them to be better, right? When you're at scale, that stuff is more important. But when you're just getting started, falling into this trap of like split testing every different type of color ad and different type of copy and language and everything, it's a huge waste of time. You need to be focused on, how do I get to the next level, or how do I get to the level of my competitors? And they didn't get there split testing every little piece of things and CRO and all this nonsense on their landing pages and their ad creatives and everything like that. They found the things that worked and they built the business in order to be able to scale. And then they went back and started to optimize things so they could really hum along. So spending too much time there is a big mistake, especially if you're just getting started. All right, number 4 actually goes inside with this, but it's broken landing pages. Oh my gosh. You know how many times that we have launched an offer and it's gone through so many different tests, through so many different people, quality control, and then we go launch the thing and we're like, this isn't doing that well. What's going on? And then we dig a little bit deeper and we find, oh my gosh, something's broken. I can never tell you why something breaks. It could be a software update. It could be something along those lines. But if you just shut things off without taking a deeper look on like what's actually happening on my landing page, or like why customers can't actually purchase, then you might be shutting something off that could actually potentially work really well and bring your CPA down. I've done this multiple times where launched an offer, it went through various QC, and I'm not a good QC person. It went through good QCers, and they came back and they're like, oh yeah, everything's perfect. And then we launch it and it's not doing well, and then we're just shut it off. And then we look at it later and we're like, oh my gosh, they did a software update or something along those lines where there's this disconnect between them putting in their zip code and hitting the checkout button, and it would spin for too long, or it just wouldn't go through. Like that kind of stuff is absolutely terrible. But I ended up shutting off so many offers because we weren't paying attention to, hey, what's actually happening after the ad, and why is this landing page broken, essentially. All right, and number 5 is scaling the wrong metrics. What does this mean? Scaling wrong metrics. You can tell I can only do one thing at a time. What this means is that depending on your offer and how you look at your business, you should not be scaling things up from an advertising perspective, especially. You should not be scaling things up based on what John Doe says over here that he's doing with his business, right? Because depending on how you have things set up, if you have like an accelerator pedal, a self-liquidating offer that's meant to make, money over time, you might want to look at LTV. So ROAS is less important to you and you're more concerned with the new customer cost per acquisition, or ROAS is that thing for whatever funnel you have. And so you want to scale based on a 1.8, but John Doe scales on a 1.3. So it's all about focusing on what is the right metric for this offer in order to scale. We thought in the very beginning, we had the self-liquidating offer, this accelerator pedal that I just mentioned. We thought we were supposed to scale based off of ROAS because that's what we heard. Everybody's like, ROAS, ROAS, ROAS. Hit the right ROAS and you can scale. And we did that. It got us pretty far. But then we realized, oh my gosh, we just missed on a big opportunity because we're looking at the wrong metric. Actually, if we paid less attention to ROAS and we tried to hit this new customer cost per acquisition metric, which is extremely low, these people are worth 2 times that after 60 days. And that ROAS might be like a 0.6 because the AOV might be low for that week or whatever. And so new customer cost per acquisition might be where it needs to be. So we should scale that because that LTV makes a lot more sense than that, that initial AOV that dropped down for that 3 days or that week or whatever. So it's looking at your offers and paying attention to what is the right scale metric for this offer in order to actually scale this thing up. And I can't tell you how many times that we've looked at the wrong metrics, even vice versa, after we learned that about the self-liquidating offer. All of our other offers were kind of like the profitable pieces of the business, and we're like, maybe we can do the same thing here. And so we looked at those and we realized, oh wait, these don't have a lifetime value. Like these are just, they come in, AOV is nice, and then that's it. They are probably worth like $10 more at the end of 30 days. Like it's not anything significant. Where the self-liquidating offer, they're worth 2x what they initially purchased. So it's paying attention to what are the right metrics for you to scale, and that's why a lot of the videos that I talk about, I'm very loose on what that number is. Could be 1.5, could be 2.5, could be zero point 0.7, whatever makes sense for your business and your financial model. It's going to be different for every other business. But I'm trying to give you the generalized things without going too far into the details so you don't hear the wrong thing and take actions based on the wrong thing. So those are the 5 lessons that I learned when it comes to CPAs from my own mistakes, my own failures in the past.